Greetings, everybody. Welcome today on Wednesday, the 23rd of April, just after 10 o'clock in the morning, UK time, to our April edition of the ISRM Global Urban Resilience monthly webinars, which this month, I'm glad to say, we are revisiting something we've discussed previously, which is infrastructure resilience. I'm delighted to say we have two people who have deep insight into that from both a theoretical and a political and a practitioner perspective. And that is Lord Toby Harris, who is chair of the UK National Preparedness Commission and, of course, is a past president of the ISRM itself for 5 years from set up until last year. And we have, I'm delighted to say, Ebru, sorry, my mistake here. We have Ebru Aspergin, who is the adjunct associate professor of architecture, planning and preservation at Columbia University, and is the founding director of the Center for Urban Disaster Risk Reduction and Resilience in New York City, a senior urban resilience advisor at the World Bank, and associate editor of the Progress and Disaster Science Journal. Delighted to see you both, and I must say congratulations and thank you to Ebru coming in at 5 o'clock in the morning, New York time. I mean, that is over and above in terms of sort of the contribution. So thank you very much. We are hoping to see Nisreen Dawood, who's an old friend of the ISRM and is head of sustainable development at Amman city government in Jordan, and also Professor Zoran Kekovic, who is chair of the ISRM Southeast European chapter and has just published a book on critical infrastructure protection, a systems approach. They both have other commitments around this time, but will be coming in later. Before we start, can I ask your indulgence? And Ebru, I'd like to ask you, as a professor at Columbia University, we are, of course, all following the news about that. And seemingly the targeted attacks by Trump personally and the Trump administration in America against educational institutions. Columbia has had $400 million of funding held back. Harvard has had $1.2 billion of funding held back. It seems that there is an attack on all aspects of the US state, including, for example, we just discussed that the State Department, Department of Health, Department of Education, foreign aid, etc., etc. Just very briefly, given that you are here and I just audience, would you just like to give us an overview of what it's like to be a senior academic in the US at the moment?
Thank you, David. And first of all, pleasure being here. And thank you for inviting me. Just jumping on this topic of being an academic here in the US right now is, of course, a very hot topic. It's not an easy one, a very short answer. We are in the crossroads, I think, between the administration and, the demands or, the care of our students, I would say. I think first and foremost our focus on our students and their well-being as educators. And they are having a very difficult time, especially our international students. Other than that, the universities have finally banded together. Yesterday, we issued a joint statement of 200 universities, including, very happily, I would say that Columbia has also signed up to it. And basically, all we want is academic freedom, which has always been given. Columbia has a history of 271 years, and Harvard has a history of 350 years. And just academic freedom to be able to teach what we've been teaching, to be able to hire who we want to hire, and to be able to also accept the students we'd like to accept. But of course, we are also open to constructive engagement, as the united statement of the universities announced yesterday. But overall, it is a very difficult situation. just speaking of myself, well, I haven't changed anything of what I'm teaching. I'm teaching international planning and resilience planning. And so my focus has not changed, but let's see, we are just going day by day,
Okay.
waking up every day to new news. So we are just like taking it a day at a time. So today we have a faculty meeting. So if I speak to you in a few days, maybe I'll come up with some news, other news. But yes, we are in a difficult situation.
It is amazing that in 2025 we are talking about the United States in these terms. I mean, we all know that when hyper controlling governments attack academic institutions in a systemic basis, that is not a good sign. That is not a good sign. And it is
Yeah.
usually a sign of something underlying which is dark and bad. So our thoughts are with you. It is a tough times. Let's come back and thank you, Ebru, thank you for sharing that. I think that genuinely has meaning and significance for all of us, and we feel engaged in some way with what is happening in America, but on a very personal basis. So thank you for that. Let's come back to the subject in hand, which is critical national resilience of critical national infrastructure. On the 21st of well, on the 20th of March, Friday the 20th of March this year, there was a fire in a substation about a mile and a half away from Heathrow Airport, which knocked out the substation. It had about, I think, 25,000 litres of oil in there. Major fire, knocked it out. That was one of apparently three substations that served Heathrow Airport. So Heathrow Airport as a system has two, as an airport and as a system, has two forms of power. It has external power from the national grid, and there are three substations providing that. And it has its own internal backup power systems to manage its own activities. That was about just before midnight, about 11:30 on Friday evening UK time. And by Saturday morning, it became clear that that had impacted the ability of Heathrow Airport to run its operations so much that they closed it down. They decided we'll have a total close down. We won't try and manage bits of it. We will close it down and we will reboot and restart. That, of course, had incredible significant impacts on global travel all over the world, on people's lives, on their ability to move around, etc., etc. These are incredibly disruptive events to close an airport, and certainly one like Heathrow. The question then came in to be, did Heathrow have a resilient system in place? And I'm sure that Toby will be bringing his thoughts on that. And what is the meaning of a resilient system? Um, the national grid claimed that there were two other substations that could have provided full power and had the capacity and capability to do so. Heathrow Airport said that when they wanted their own internal backup systems to come to play, two things had to be thought about. First of all, it takes time. It's not an instantaneous thing. It takes time to do that. And secondly, their own systems are basically safety critical systems. They're not designed to run the airport. This is in March 2025, when we are living through an age of what does national resilience mean. Toby, can I bring you in? And then, do you want to just introduce yourself to our audience? Let us know what you do. Because if I was to introduce you, it'd take about 25 minutes, to be honest, to go through everything. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, and then just the first thoughts, your first impressional thoughts about what happened in March 2025 with Heathrow Airport. And we can then sort of bounce the conversation off from there.
Okay, well, thanks very much, David. For those who don't know, my name is Toby Harris. I'm chair of the National Preparedness Commission, amongst a number of other things I do, including being a member of the UK House of Lords. The National Preparedness Commission, 4.5 years old, it set itself the task of trying to raise the game of the UK in terms of preparedness and resilience. The Commission itself comprises about 50 leading figures from public life, academia, business, and civil society. And over the course of that 4.5 years, we've published 25 reports on different aspects of preparedness and resilience, and increasingly are having resonance in terms of the content of government statements.